Man, yeah, I really like your whole setup you got there. Like the art on the wall looks cool back there too.
Thank you. It's like my little corner, my little creation corner.
I feel like the space we created, like just in general, is like that's always important. But then I feel like in the last couple of years, it got a lot more important.
Definitely.
You're out in Jersey still, right?
Yeah, I'm in Jersey for a few more days.
Oh shit! Then where are you going after that?
Well, I'm going on vacation in Mexico. I'm looking forward to that, like a friendcation. It's a bunch of Aquarius' birthdays. So, and then I go to the UK. I'm gonna go do a tour, Heartbeats Part 2. So I'm looking forward to that. Going back overseas.
Man, is this your first tour back? Like real tour?
Yeah, this has been like my first real tour back. I went overseas last year, but it was like for a weekend, like it was like 5 days banger.
Right.
Came back home. But this one is like long. Like I'm going to be gone for like all February, all of March. So.
Man, it's good to hear, honestly, because like.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's really good to hear. I mean, just in the sense of like you getting back out there, but then also just in the sense of like that used to be regular, right? Like it used to be like going out of town for a couple months was normal.
Right. Yeah. And now it's kind of like, okay, like this is a big deal now because it's been so long.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like anything's going to be different once you get back out there? Like obviously a lot of stuff changed for musicians and artists over the last couple of years, but do you feel like you are a different artist at this point? Like did anything change for you creatively, mentally in those years?
Oh, definitely. Like I definitely took time to just really hone in with myself and make music without all the benefits of the clubs. And you know what I mean? Like getting that, oh yeah, like what do I get out of this? You know, making music. Just being isolated in myself, I just had to like really, you know, create a new purpose for my music and creating it. So I just feel like I'm definitely I put more purpose into my sets, and like when I give 100% because it's like I'm here in the flesh. We're here in the flesh.
Right. Well, it's tough, right? Because especially for somebody like you who makes, you know, such like body focused music. I mean, you know, it's meant to be enjoyed by a bunch of people all together in the clubs. Like actual dancing is a big part of it, which, yeah, we didn't get to do any of that for a while.
No, only on Zoom. Like, I can't believe that we had like an era where like we really were partying on the internet.
Yeah, right?
I think that's kind of cool. Like from the Zoom parties to like the massive Twitch. Like,
yeah. Did you do any of the virtual reality stuff?
What do you mean?
Like, did you do any of the? I know some people were like doing like performances in VR.
Oh yeah, I didn't get up there yet.
Yeah.
I would love to though. Like I've definitely streamed a lot. I did a lot of like green screen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I kind of feel the same way as you. Like I do think it's kind of cool that everything just like that we figured out a way to keep partying. You were streaming a lot there for a while, right?
I really was. I definitely was. Like I like to call it a digital diva. I was just like, you know, in the camera, in front of the screen with the decks, or like I used to produce a lot on Twitch, which was new. It was kind of like the reverse. Like, you know how you asked me like how I changed as an artist? I feel like that's the reason why I put more purpose into it, because I had an audience like doing stuff that, you know, I didn't have an audience for. Like I would have an audience for like, you know, the end product.
Right.
You know, like, oh, this is the finished song. Like, and you guys dance to it. Yay. Like it's out for the world to enjoy. But like for you guys to see the actual like beginning, like where it was zero, like, and I had more of an audience for that because, you know, we weren't outside in the club. So that was definitely different. It definitely made me put more purpose, and just chatting with them too about it was like really different and cool. Kind of like shifted.
Was some of the Heartbeats EP made that way?
Yeah. Yeah. I made a couple on Twitch.
Yeah.
Like I will record it or just, like arrange it on Twitch. That was really fun.
Yeah, I mean it's a really interesting way to work. It's so vulnerable. Like I got into Twitch streaming a lot, but I was doing more just, DJ sets. I was doing some podcasting, all that. And I never made the leap to actually doing production on stream just because I don't know, it felt so vulnerable. Like kind of like what you were saying. Like I never want people to see it until it's done,
Word. I think that's just a lot of us though. You know what I mean? Especially as artists, we're just like, man, like this process is like the sacred part of us,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that like a lot. But it was cool to do that for that duration,
Yeah, just try something new. I feel you. And you gotta always be evolving too. I think that's part of it is like the longer you stay in this game, at least for me, the more you realize that it's really all just about riding the waves and adapting. And, it's like it's never a stable thing. Anytime you're comfortable, it goes, something changes like right away.
Right. It really does. It really does.
I mean, maybe that's a good way to talk a little more about the Heartbeats EP. I loved it. And I felt like there was, it was kind of like it was an evolution kind of or an adaptation or kind of what we've been talking about where you take a song like Microdosing, which is you've made house music before, but this was that's like kind of a classic sounding like house track.
Thank you.
That mixed with like also just unique club bangers that I think you're known for. I don't know. It did feel like your sound evolved or changed in some way. I mean, was that an intentional thing? Was that kind of just like a result of what was happening in the world? Where does that come from?
Well, thank you first of all.
Of course. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it definitely is like an evolution. I feel like I'm ever evolving because I'm still like now I just enter like a new level of like being an artist, not just being a DJ. So I've always wanted to take my production more serious too and challenge myself. I feel like that's why I name myself UNIIQU3 because like I'm just like different and I want to like, keep evolving and forever trying things and bringing something new to the table, bring that. And I personally wanted a breath of fresh air for when it came to club music. Like club music is in a state where it's like has subgenres within Jersey club. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that's how much people have been stepping out of just like what was the format, I guess,
Right.
like the format that everybody knows of Jersey club. So yeah, I just wanted to really challenge that and challenge myself as a musician and an artist and kind of tap back into everything that I used to do. Like a lot of people may not know, but I've been a classical pianist since I was like 7. And I would take ballet classes at Newark Symphony Hall. And that's how I got introduced to club music, just going downtown Newark, taking dance classes at Newark Symphony Hall, just hearing club music on the street. And, just having all of those elements, I kind of wanted to take it back to that, like take it back to like, oh, what would I dance to? Like maybe not at a club, you know what I mean? But something that I would hear on the walking down the street, that would catch my ear, but also really progressive to like everything I'm doing now. So yeah, it's just like
a little more personal almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every artist should try to get personal. I feel like a lot of club music does not have depth,
Right.
It's very like straight to the point. It's raw, but it could be, like just let's go. Like it's pretty shallow for dance music. Well, and for wanting to be an artist, I know that I have more to showcase because I grew up as a theater kid. Like I'm like, I could sing.
You're right.
I got bars. Like why not, try to showcase that? And I've always been a fan of just like the house era, especially in Newark, and just all the divas that, made that sound what it is, And I just kind of wanted to make something for my generation because we don't really have that in terms of just like, at least in Jersey, we don't have like a breath of fresh air for like a house scene. even though it's still thriving from like what it is, like we have block parties on the block. Summer is popping. Like you'll go downtown and you'll just be like, oh wait, it's a DJ in the park. It's so cool. So I just kind of wanted to embody that in a project. Talk about love for once.
Today's generation maybe doesn't even realize that club music has all these roots in classic house music, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like the new generation's take on club music. And it's still the heartbeat of Newark, you know? Like, and I just really wanted to be able to say that I made like a dope house song for like my city. And, you know, I've always been about giving out good energy. And sometimes like I really expect it back, even though you're not supposed to expect stuff. Right. But yeah, it was just a song about reciprocation, you know, just like, yo, do not microdose my love, my energy, definitely worth the full dose. Like, come on, you know? And yeah, that's what kind of made it clubby. You know, still got to make it cool and swag it out.
I think you did a good job of what you were just talking about, because you were saying that, you know, a lot of club music doesn't have that depth to it. But then what you're talking about is kind of using maybe some of what you learned early on, being involved in theater and all that, and, you know, getting a little more conceptual. But then at the end of the day, you know, you still got to get people in the seats. Like, people got to watch the play and be entertained. You know, you still got to get people dancing in the club. And it's a hard line, I think, because it's really easy to go too far one way or the other, you know?
Right. Thank you. I just wanted to keep it really raw, you know, like really raw but relatable. And I feel like you could feel that in the song. Like, I literally, like, if you see like the rest of my view, like I live right downtown. So like it's definitely very an inspiring, you know, like environment to just be looking at my city, like, you know, and make music. Like, I definitely made everything right here with the keys, you know, and hi-hat.
Yeah, it looks like a really inspiring space. I mean, were you born in Newark? Have you always lived in this area?
Yeah, I've always lived in Essex County, Hillside, Newark, my two cities.
Yeah. Well, what was it like growing up there? How have you seen the city change? How have you seen the culture change there over time, if you've been there since the
start? It's changed so much. You know, I've always said I feel like growing up in Jersey is definitely a hell of an experience for a young kid, because we do have such a vibrant, you know, club culture, like dance culture and, you know, music culture, because it's generational. And growing up here, like I said, I discovered club music, you know, taking dance. I was already into dance class. I wanted to be a ballerina, and I was just so determined. But going downtown and hearing club music on the block and copping a club CD before class started kind of really just changed my whole perspective. It made me meet a lot of friends. We used to have, you know, the school dances would be popping. You know, we would also just link everywhere. Like, we would just link up downtown and, you know, make videos and, you know, just do cool things. We had, for the party scene, we had these different teams that we would call street teams. And, you know, it would just be like you and your clique, and y'all would throw parties, and y'all would team up with other people and throw parties. And, you know, every party was known for a different vibe too. It was like really cool, like, oh yeah, these is this clique and that clique. And, you know, it was just really fun. I was always busy. I was always going somewhere, meeting some new people, going to a new city. And as Brick City Club, it was called Brick City Club at first, but as that grew and it became Jersey Club, because the whole New Jersey started producing it, that's when it really got spread out. We're like, dang, I'm from Newark, but I'm going down to like Plainfield and Camden. Like, what? You know, like, to go party. Like, we would really, you know, we would carpool hours to go to different counties and party and just like battle the kids over there. Like, me from North, we like, you know. And it was just cool though. Like, and I think like that experience as a kid, like I look back on it now, like, man, like we was really like in the hall just sweating, partying, dancing all night. That's pretty dope. It's all on YouTube, actually. You can still look it up.
What's cool about hearing those stories is that it sounds like that was like a regular thing, or that there were a lot of kids who were doing these like creative endeavors, and there was like a whole community around it. Because I feel like that story in a lot of other cities, you would have been like the one weird kid who like had the these interests that like the cool kids didn't follow or anything. But I think that's maybe that's part of what makes the Jersey club scene special, is that it's really so built into the culture that it's not something you have to, if you grow up there, it's not something you have to like dig and find, and it doesn't start off so underground. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, it's definitely like there. Like, if I went to school, if I was like an exchange student and I came to school in Jersey, I'm going to hear club music within the first day. You know what I mean? And I just feel like, it's just that the parties are very social, and the type of dances we do and the type of DJs we have, they're very interactive. You know what I mean? Like, DJs produce club music to play at parties. They do line dances, and, that kind of brings that unison together. So I feel like that's what interacts people. But in general, Jersey is definitely a place for creatives. It has so many different types of artistic elements that it likes to celebrate. And I appreciate the city for that.
Yeah, I feel you. I mean, I remember I didn't grow up in Chicago, but when I moved to Chicago, and that's kind of where I started like professionally DJing and all that. And I remember my mind was so blown because you would turn on the radio and just like, the mainstream radio would have like a juke hour, that kind of thing with all the DJs playing that. And I'd never heard, like local music just being like celebrated on such a big platform before. And it really, truly like rewired the way I thought about DJing and music and all that. And I don't know, that was to me some of the most rewarding like musical experiences I've ever had, were just learning about and hanging out around like the local juke scene in Chicago. There's something about it, like when it's homegrown like that and celebrated at home. I don't know. It's so rare.
Word. It's like weird. It's like something that almost never died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's like, it's just like in the city, like sprinkled in like a tree that like doesn't die.
Yeah. And you can tell, I think that's why it gets, like so many people interested in it, right? Like from the most mainstream of EDM artists, like you can hear Jersey club influences in their songs. You can hear juke influences in their songs. And there's something about that energy that I think just because it's so pure, kind of like what you were saying, like it's raw and it's homegrown and it's not really trying to be anything else but that, right?
Yeah. I feel like before, we grew as the internet grew. The internet is forever evolving. Like, so that's how we really, that's how people really got the eye of us and we're able to reach out. Like during the SoundCloud days, I was getting so many random DMs from DJs all over the world. And I'm just like, huh? I just started going to Philly. Like,
right.
To me, going to Philly was a big deal. I'm like, oh, we're in Philly. Like, we're not in Jersey playing Jersey Club. We're in Philly, and then after that, it was like, ooh, South by. I wasn't thinking like London, Paris, like Tokyo, club music's huge over there too. Like, so it's been really cool to be like a genre that's grown with the internet and has evolved, like club music is evolving so much because of technology that we're able to get our hands on to produce it now, like I love it.
Yeah. Well, what did
from like the Sony Acid Pro, like
I was just about to ask,
soundtrack.
So you started on Acid when you first were producing?
Yeah. Hence microdosing.
Yeah,
but
there you go. Did you have anybody, either when you started first DJing or started first producing, was there anybody you were looking up to at that point? Did you have any kind of mentors around you, either like locally or online?
I did, man. I had mad support because I was already popping as a dancer. So when I decided to become a DJ, like people were just kind of shocked, like, okay, really? But when they like, but when I really like showed up, and would just like be kind of, what do you call that? Assertive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In terms of just like trying to get on the decks and practice. Because, having equipment was super, it wasn't as attainable as it is now. And especially because like, we didn't have consoles. We had like straight CDJ. So I just had to be really assertive, like, no, I'm burning my CDs. I got my CD book. Like, I'm ready to practice. Or, yo, I got a MacBook with Serato on it now. Like, what's up? And I would go over this sound man's house because he had the equipment. Duh. Like, and I was like, yo, I'm just gonna practice every day after college that I soon dropped out of. Don't drop out of college, kid. Feel me? It wasn't serving me, and I was just wasting money, to be honest. So,
right.
Yeah, and I just was like, I'm just gonna practice, like practice at the sound man's house, and after a while, as they would go set up parties, I was right there too. Shout out to DJ Hutch and DJ Shadow. When they would set up parties, I would be like, "Word, y'all need to sound check." That was me. That was me. And then people would walk in like, "Who's DJing?" And then they'll be like, "You."
I saw you say in some other interviews I was reading that when you were kind of coming up, at least in Jersey, like there really weren't a lot of other female artists doing it like that.
Nah, it wasn't. Unfortunately, like the women that I look up to are TT, the artist. She's from Baltimore. I got to meet her at a Mad Decent Mondays when they used to have those in Philly. Yep. Yeah, throwback. And she performed. My homegirl, Guns Garcia, was like, "You gotta come and meet this girl, TT." So I came through and I was like, "Yo, she's dope." Like, so that's how I built that. That was like the first interaction where we just like, okay, bet. Like, I'm gonna see her again. Like, we gotta work. And also my homegirl Venus X. I like Slink and Natus, like they definitely, in terms of just like people that I look up to producer wise, they were like top two. Slink, J Hood, and Natus. And they definitely all looked me out. Like Slink sent me a sound kit. J Hood would just show me the ropes in terms of just being a good MC, DJ, rapping on club music. And Natus definitely showed me the ropes on being like blends and how to use a CDJ,
Yeah.
And I just had like a really good support system. But like Slink and Natus, they would go to New York City. This is like when, club music started catching the eyes of people, like SoundCloud, golden era.
Yeah, the blogs.
And they would go to New York City all the time. And I'm like, yo, man, like, what's out there? Like, what is out there? I need to see what's up. And I would follow them. And I went to a rave that was called Ghetto Gothic, that Slink DJ. And I was like, oh, y'all need me. Like, y'all need me. Like, I need y'all. I found my calling. Like, Jersey, I love y'all. But this right here, this is me, So, Venus X, I definitely, like, look up to her. So, girl.
The Ghetto Gothic parties were legendary. I never got to go to one, but...
oh, man.
Yeah,
definitely a time and place where New York City was so different, man, because it was pre-internet for real. Like, it was like when we were posting unhinged stuff on, like, IG. Like, IG didn't even have the stories. Feel me? IG stories. You don't know what's going on. You just saw a pic, so you just had to be there. It was really cool. Like, I appreciate being a kid that's, like, growing up in a generation where I've seen so much, like, change. Because it really makes me appreciate, like, both, like, just, like, both, like, lives I've had is, like, a DJ, I'm sure you can relate, where it's just, like, yo, like, I know how it is to party without the internet, and like when we had like almost no technology, and now we got all this cool stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It just makes you appreciate.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, the technology is always changing. The platforms, the parties are always changing. It's always changing, and it's never what it used to be. And it's, but that's, I think that can be a beautiful thing too. Like it's easy to be like, I wish it was the way it used to be, but you kind of have to just embrace whatever the next wave is, because there's always going to be, it's just another opportunity to kind of evolve yourself.
Yeah, and make like a new, new time.
It sounds like you've been creative from the jump, basically, like just a creative person. Yeah. What did your folks do? Like, how do they feel about this career that you have? Like, was that a big part of it? Did they shape you in that way?
I mean, my parents, they adore my career. They just let me ramble about it all the time. I appreciate them. Save me money on a therapist. So they're really supportive. But my mom, she was in bands. She definitely played a lot of instruments in her life. And I feel like that's what she definitely was like, you're going to do extracurricular stuff. So she was like, that was the piano lessons, and the concert bands. And my dad, he would sing, not professionally, just a talent for real. And they would take me to auditions like at a young age. So they've always been super supportive. I've invited them to different shows, like nothing crazy, but like definitely like, a couple of outings where they're just like, okay. It's like, okay, it's lit for my daughter. Like, so, they get excited. And my dad's always been an entrepreneur. Like he had so many businesses growing up. I just remember like he would have like all these businesses, from like a cleaning business to like, I have like a whole rental service for parties. You know what I mean? Or like, like I got an icy named after me. Like he used to do it all. But that was the limit with like how he got his family friends. So I definitely get that drive from him, where I'm always thinking of like, what's next? What can I do? I'm bored. What am I gonna do? Like what's next? What are we doing? What are we making? What we creating? What we planning?
Yeah.
Where we partying at?
Right. And not waiting for somebody else to
club, bathroom, club, food spot, club.
Well, and not waiting for somebody else to offer it, right? It's like, it's kind of a DIY mentality.
Yeah. I mean, it's been like that since a kid. And then like, when I came to Jersey, when I got into the club scene, I was just like, where we throw our own parties is lit.
Which you did that a lot, right? You threw it.
Yeah, I like throwing parties a lot. I like giving my audience a new experience, man. Like I throw this party called PB&J. That was like, I first started throwing parties like in Jersey, and it was called 135. And I named it that because I was like, that was my favorite BPM at the time. Right. And I threw that party with this collective called Like That Records in New York City. When we didn't find warehouses, we were throwing it in the basement at Webster Hall, which was so dope because like there's not a lot of places for like 18 plus to people to party in New York City, and Webster Hall was that place. So it was just like lit. You know what I mean? Like so lit. And when that died down, I came back and I was like, you know what? Like I was just seeing like how Philly Club was making a comeback and More Club was like, just still doing its thing. I was like, man, like it doesn't make sense that like club music isn't, just like having a thing. Like look at us. I was always in collaboration with TT, the artist, and Mighty Marco from Baltimore. I was always going down to Philly with Swizzy. And I was just like, man, like, see, no. And that's when I teamed up with this collective called Be More Than Dance. They give back to the community through dance. And we came up with the party PB&J. It stands for Philly, Baltimore, and New Jersey, like a club music sandwich.
Right.
Like the peanut butter jelly time song. Yeah. And we get to travel. I wanted it to be like extra. I didn't want it to be like a basic party because I'm like, man, I do parties in like one club all the time. That's cool. And this party rotates like every month. It was kind of tough at the beginning. I ain't gonna hold you, just finding a new venue every month.
Yeah,
new
that's
people
so hard.
every month. But we had our residents, me and my bro A Mello, and my host Meek B. We would just, curate the talent and just traveling from one state to another every month. One in Newark, boom. The other in Philly, boom. the other in Baltimore. B, take it back. And during the time that PB&J has been going, I would say a year. We had the year where like COVID kind of just canceled everything. So this was our comeback. Last year was our comeback year, but we've been able to do stuff with Afropunk, and that was so cool to be able to like, you know, give my friends that experience. I've grown with that festival, Afropunk. Like I volunteered, I was a liaison. So when I headlined, I was like, yo, y'all gotta let me throw an after party so I could book all my friends. And that's exactly what I did. And that felt good. Like it was a way for me to give back and like kind of, you know, give them some like, yo, like y'all come to my after party, y'all gonna see what I'm about. Like y'all like me at the festival, come see what the whole scene is about. And it's Philly, Baltimore, New Jersey. Cause we're all like club cousins. Like we always fake beef with each other, but it's like healthy because it keeps us like on our toes, you know?
That's exactly. I was talking to G-Buck. I don't know if you know G-Buck.
Oh, but, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, he's the best. And that's kind of what he was saying. He was like, yeah, it's like, it's competitive, but it's friendly competition. It's like we're all kind of making each other better.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's what it's about, you know? It keeps everybody on their toes and it keeps everybody alive. You know, everybody got different goals, but, you know, my goal is definitely to just shed as much light on just the cities that are, you know, doing dope things, like, and the people too. So that's what PB&J, you know, is all about. And I hope it becomes a festival one day. Like last year we had a block party, you know, so that was cool. And I had different workshops like tie-dye for the kids, and had a producer workshop where they could learn how to make beats live. And I gave out my club head kit from Splice. You know, so you can be like, you'll get these sounds and just like a little free Splice promo, like, you know, because kids need that. Like, yo, word, now y'all got access to like all these sounds. And I didn't have that as a kid. So anything I could do to help out and kind of just give like a new experience to the hood, like, I want to do that. I hope it becomes a festival and I can get other people to fly out and just enjoy like a day full of just like Jersey Club and the culture with like dance workshops and, you know, production workshops and maybe even a little history, you know what I mean? Like little panel or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, because I do look at you in that light as somebody who's like shedding light on the culture and somebody who's really putting on for the sound. But I always wonder, like, that kind of responsibility can be like heavy to carry too. And it's not always necessarily like what somebody chose, you know, sometimes like, because I think you've broken down a lot of barriers, right? Like you like first like Jersey Club, like, I don't know, a whole bunch of different things. Like you broke into a bunch of EDM festivals early. You've got these billboards up, like, you know, things that a lot of people in Jersey Club haven't gotten to do yet, which is awesome. But then I wonder, like, is that also stressful in a way to, you know, have that kind of responsibility on your shoulders?
I wouldn't take it as a responsibility that anybody's making me have. It's something that I'm choosing to do because, like, I really love my friends and we're really talented. And I talk to them a lot. Like, you know what I mean? I know like what we would like to do with our creative selves. And we've been able to do it on a small scale before. So like, why not shoot for bigger? And if I could just give back and do that, like, why not? You know, that's like the plus part. But like, you know, I do think about like, if people think it's something I have to do or like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, are they just like resort to be like, oh, you need to fix it. Like,
right.
I've always been a problem solver, but I don't take it too much as like a thing I have to do. It's a thing I want to do. It's my time to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen other friends, you know, have their time of where they, you know, just really represented a lot and broken down doors and, you know, made opportunities for people like me, you feel me, to be able to do what I'm doing now. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm a very extra person though. So like, that's why it seems like, because I'm not like a pussyfooter, you know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely like, oh, you want to do a lot or do the most? I'm like, let's do the most.
Yeah.
And you already asked me if we want to do a lot. That's just me because I've been a theater kid forever. You know what I mean? Like the Jersey Club is the extra sauce. That's cute. But I was always going to be this girl right here, no matter what genre I make. And yeah, we're going to find that out in 2022.
I love that. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's maybe a good way to talk about, future goals, like what you're working on in the short term, but also, you were talking about like these bigger ideas, maybe doing a festival. And yeah, I guess I'm just curious, like where your head's at artistically, like what you're working on, what you're excited about, like where you see yourself as an artist going. I know it's a lot.
Nah, I mean, yeah, because I'm always thinking about it in the back burner, I think right now, I told myself that I want to I always work smarter, but I just want to work smarter, not harder. So I'm just really going to enjoy, like everything that just comes my way and digest it then instead of just planning so much in the future. I feel like I have a lot of things that are dope that I'm like are about to happen like right now. You know what I mean? So right now, especially given the times, I'm just kind of going like a few months at a time, but definitely gonna try to tour safely as possible, throughout these months. And I'm looking forward to that and being able to, feel my vinyl in my hands and, like perform for my fans and yeah, just really give, practice that, part of my artistry, instead of just like the creation side. I'm going to be doing a lot of radio this year, though. So much radio, I'm going to feel like a boombox. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing like a lot of radio, and that'll be dope because I'll be able to spread like all the progressive sounds that are coming out right now, from my city and beyond for like club music. Like club music is touching everywhere. Like we have like club producers from India hit me up today. You know what I mean? Like Dubai, just like they getting hit ups from everywhere. Like seriously, like all over the world.
It's kind of amazing, man.
Brazil. That's where it was from Brazil. Yeah, like I just want to, hear what their take is on it and spread that, create some new stuff. That's just my goal right now, to enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it makes me wonder. I think that's a great goal, first of all. I think that's, just kind of getting back to what actually we loved about this in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And just trying to stay close to that, because I think the closer we are to that kind of like innocent, happy place that got us into it in the first place, to me, that's just like the better anything we make is going to be,
Yeah,
but hearing you talk about like all the international artists making club music and all that is fascinating too. Like, was there a moment, maybe like when you first started touring, when you realized that like this music was really going global and that it wasn't just in Jersey anymore, and that people everywhere were listening?
Definitely. I mean, I can't really recall a specific time, but I feel like the most recent time that I felt like that, because it's a feeling I felt often, like sometimes a DJ will go on before you and they'll play a certain track. You're like, how you know about that? Like, especially for something so homegrown, like there are certain producers and tracks where it's like, yo, like you be doing your research. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like the last time I felt like that was when I was in New Zealand. And the opener that opened for me called Babyface Killer, they were going in and they were just playing some club cuts where I was like, damn, I can't play that.
Yeah.
But it was that good feeling where I was like, oh, damn, like club music really out. I'm in New Zealand.
Yeah.
What? It's a whole new day somewhere.
Man.
Yeah, so that's the last time I felt like that. It just gives me like these chest chills and I get like, oh my gosh, because it's something I heard all my life. So like to hear it on the other side of the world, like, and I'm in New Zealand, and just like, whew, it's like, oh wow, like that's amazing,
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, what was it like for you when you did first start touring? Was it because I know you linked up with like Nina Las Vegas and Anna Luno out in Australia. Was that like one of the first early international things you did?
Yeah. So like the first international gig I did was Ghetto Gothic in Toronto. And then I went to London for 48 hours for Just Jam. It was iconic at the Barbican. Skepta performed. This was like peak, like, that's not me. It was crazy.
Oh, wow. Crazy.
Yeah, it was sick. But after that, that's when I went on tour with Nina. And it was awesome. I was like so amazed, like the world is big. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I do.
For any kid living in the city and then you go somewhere like, you know, on the other side of the world with beaches and clear skies, you're like, oh my gosh, the world is big. Like you're driving on the other side of the street, you know? And the crowd just had the energy and it was probably like, it felt like a dream, you know? And being able to do radio out there, I was like, wow, this is a thing. Like this is different. And I still have, you know, relationships to this day with, you know, radio stations out there like FBI and Triple J. You know, Nina definitely backed me so much when I first really started to go international. She even released my Phase 3 EP on NOV Records. So, yeah, like Australia, it's weird how the other side of the world was the first place like I really did a proper tour at. But yeah, it's to me, I was just like, yo, I could go all the way over here. I know that like I can go anywhere else with this. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like and I would tour the US before, you know, going all over the world, and those tours were hard. Like you know, those tours were hard. Like I remember coming back from or being still in South by, bro. Like before Cash Apps, y'all, I'm talking like, can you wire transfer me?
Yeah.
So I could get home. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was tough, like touring the US, like as a new club artist. It was just so no Uber.
Right.
Like it was hard. I'm a bougie girl now. I'm so thankful for it all.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's good. That's good though. That's progress.
Like, do you remember how hard it was?
Oh, I remember. Yeah, it's funny you brought up South by because I had some crazy situations in South by early.
It's like a rite of passage.
Yo, it absolutely is, man. Yeah, I would like, I don't know. We don't have to get into it, but yeah, I would just go on these benders, drinking cheap beer and like crashing on somebody's floor and
whoever.
Oh man.
Yeah. Good times though. Good times.
That was the thing. I mean, I look back on it, it was like so much fun, you know. I can't hate on it at all. But it's I mean, talking about like touring the States early on and having a tougher go than international is interesting too, because I feel like, you tell me if you agree, but I feel like overseas, Europe especially, and the UK, like they've embraced club music more than the States have, kind of in that pure form. Like in the States, I feel like you hear the influences of it everywhere, but you don't hear it in its pure form. Whereas out there, like they want the actual thing. Whereas here, it's like, no, we want to like take it and kind of like EDMify it and like, you know, just like, I don't know, do what America does, I guess. Like you could take it all the way back to Elvis and, you know, what he did with rock music. But I feel like it's kind of the same thing here.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Like Europe and the UK, overseas, international has always, you know, just definitely showed more respect for club music in terms of, you know, doing the research about it. I don't know if that's because, you know, people who live overseas have more of a cultural background. I don't know that they like to embrace because, you know, everybody speaks a different language compared to America where it's just like everybody speaks English. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that could be one thing about it, but I do appreciate that they've always, you know, try to embrace like just where club music has come from aside from just, you know, just trying to be a part of it. You know what I mean? Like they like to do their research and, you know, actually book people from Jersey and give them an opportunity. I get emails about, hey, like, you know, music and, you know, I like it. America, I don't know. I just feel like it's tradition. Yeah. I ain't gonna go too deep into that, but it's definitely a tradition in America to be able to overlook people's cultural backgrounds in terms of, you know, when you find it interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like right now America's been waking up, because they're bored. People are bored with the same old hoorah. They're like, man, like how many times are we going to get served this dish? I feel like that's what's bringing an interest, to just people seeing things for what they are instead of just the fluff behind it, especially now since, things have changed how we experience music. I feel like it definitely changed people's perspective on how they want to digest it too and who they want to digest it from.
Yeah.
That's definitely beneficial to pure artistry, pure artists. But yeah, like club music is so raw. I feel like people like how relatable we are. All the main players just never got an opportunity to show themselves beyond just like a SoundCloud link at first. Because we didn't know.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, right? Like it's all uncharted territory. It's all trailblazing at this point. Where
like I had to write my own blueprint. There was nothing for me to follow. It was nowhere. It was not. You know what I mean? It was nobody out of Jersey where I could be like, "Ooh, like I'm gonna be that when I grow up." Like no, like I was definitely just winging it. Still kind of winging it now. Just got like brains and like a little money to like okay, like I could cruise and wing it a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely like self-taught.
Yeah, I mean it's weird for me because I'm very much like planted in, if I'm planted anywhere, it's in the EDM scene, and it's weird for me because I come from these days that we've been talking about, the even like pre-SoundCloud, but like the blog years when all that music was just kind of existed together, and so in my brain, like it's just logical that it would all go together. And then it's been weird for me over the years to see it, EDM turned into this, crazy like mainstream thing. And then a lot of people got excluded and a lot of sounds got excluded from that. And I don't know. I talk about this on the podcast all the time, but it's a weird thing for me because I'm still in it. But now to me, like it doesn't make sense why there couldn't be like a Jersey club stage at a festival, some big EDM festival. To me, it seems like logical. It seems like that would just go off. It's kind of a no-brainer, but I guess people just don't do the homework all the time. Like I really don't know. I can't put my finger on like what it's down to, like why we can't just do that,
Right. Nah, I understand completely. Like, honestly, when I go on like, TikTok is like everybody's favorite thing right now. But when I go on TikTok, I hear so much footwork, drum and bass, and Jersey club in terms of like dance genres, like in house. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I feel like if that's like a public that's like not pertaining to like a music festival, like why can't they just, I don't know, take a chance on it? There's definitely an audience there for it. But I just, like I said, traditions and the way that people see things. But there's honestly like, I just want people to look deeper than the surface level of numbers and just understand that people have different types of influence that's not just numbers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I don't have like 100K, you know what I mean? But like I got the streets. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a different type of influence that I just have to where like you can take a chance on me at a festival. You know what I mean? Also, if the artist is good, like, a lot of my friends could perform their butts off,
Yep.
I definitely feel like festivals this year should give Black women and women more of a chance because, like,
I mean, they haven't done a great job of it so far. So yeah, I agree with you.
Scale. That's what I would like for them to give women more of a chance because women think things out a lot, and I just feel like the performances are always, whether it's your cup of tea or not, you're going to take something home, and that's just from going to festivals that I performed at and going in the audience to see what's up,
Yep.
So yeah, it just needs to be an equal playing field. They need to like respect their fans enough. I always used to say this as a producer too, like, like to each his own. But I always would feel like as a performer and as a producer, as an artist, period, whatever entity you are, you should respect your audience enough to like be real.
Yeah.
Be real and give it your all. If you feel like this lineup is not Like, if you feel like you really booked the same lineup as last year, like, why you doing that to your fans?
Yeah,
They're
right.
paying like $400. Come on.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's an issue too, right? Like I think especially in the artist community, it's something we can all see happening, at least for EDM. Like so much of EDM is like a manufactured thing, which is like, I get it, when so much money gets involved and,
Right.
people are
But I
making.
love the ambiance they set. It's so like right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm like, I'm a rave kid. Like I grew up going to raves. And so like, that's always that's my heart. So it's like, I'm not going to leave that space. But then, yeah, I don't know. I think kind of like what we were talking about earlier, as far as riding the waves and adapting to change. The whole industry has to do that at a certain point, because, if they just keep running the same play, like people will eventually, it's not going to work anymore, It's like,
Yeah.
you might make money in the short term, but the long term, no, there's no way. Artists can't do it. Promoters can't do it. Nobody can do it.
Yeah, I agree. The ecosystem has to change.
Yeah, I hope it does. I hope it does, man. But it's really cool to see you out there, like, breaking down some of these boundaries. And for you, I don't know how much it feels like things are changing, but I don't know. To me, like taking the long-term view, it's like little things, stack up after a while.
Right.
And I do feel like, I don't know, hopefully in 5 years we can look back at some of that and be like, yeah, some of that was maybe when it started to change.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I feel like we're definitely at a turning point, and I'm happy to be, a part of it. My heart is always with the stage, regardless of what I'm doing. But if I could, make room and make noise while I'm doing it, that's even better.
Do you look at yourself as more one thing than any other thing? Because I mean, you produce, you are a vocalist, you DJ, you like organize events. Like, is there any part of it? I guess the way to ask this is like, what's the most fun part of what you do? What's like what do you have the most fun doing? What do you get the most excited doing?
DJing and performing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part. Anytime that I'm on the stage and I press play and I say the first words on the mic, it's my favorite.
Yeah, still that theater kid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite, because it's like, I could just, I feel it within myself. So I'm like, yes, it's time. And then, yeah, they just be in my face. Like, they want me to see. Like, yeah, give it to us. So I just love it. I love it. I get to really, kind of take control of like the whole crowd for like an hour, and, just get them on my level, maybe take them a couple of levels beyond me. I don't know, and being able to perform all the music that I create in here too, and hearing that on a grander scale is always awesome. And being able to just like kind of surprise myself as a performer too. Like, I'll be challenging myself on stage for sure. Like, you know what I mean? To just be like, yo, like, you going what you gonna do tonight? So that's definitely my favorite part. But I also do have like a certain love for just like being here. Like, I'm putting on the microphone. Like,
you're right.
like, I do have a certain love for just like being here in my studio and kind of just, messing around and singing melodies and recording it and, making demos and throw it away, making them hot-ish.
What does your songwriting process look like these days? Do you have like a typical way a song comes together?
I feel like I create around the clock. Like, I don't really have, like, for me personally, like, I could wake up at like 5 a.m. and be like, yo, I'm gonna make beats today. Like, out the wake up. Or I could be like, like, I'm gonna get all my stuff done, then I'm gonna like have a session. So it really depends. That's just me personally. When I'm in the studio with other people, it's a different story. Like, it's just like, I bet, like, these are my strong points. Like, I like, chopping up, doing drums, blah, blah, blah. Oh, word, bet, say less. So you lay the melodies, I'll do drums, you do chopping, I'll think about ideas. Then we'll write it down, maybe record a couple of loose vocals, fuck around with that. That process is different because it's like a collab. But like when I'm by myself, I really just be having like la-di-da-di. La-di-da-di makeup ideas. Make
Right.
bangers.
That's good though. I mean, it's good to be adaptable enough that you can kind of work in whatever environment, whatever time. Well, let me ask you this, like as we're kind of wrapping it up a little, is in all of this journey to where you're at and beyond, and staying creative, staying inspired, staying happy. Is there anything you figured out about just keeping yourself cool, not getting stressed out, not getting down with like all the craziness of this industry? Like how do you take care of yourself these days?
Yeah, that's really hard. I feel like these times definitely test, my mental a lot and, have me question myself, just inner thoughts. And I feel like I've learned to like control myself though, like at least be able to be accountable for myself. And I feel like that's mostly like what helps me out right now. Like learning to be accountable for yourself. Like it's really hard, but I feel like it's something that everybody should try to have a little bit in them, just some accountability for yourself because if you're feeling down, when it's time to be like, all right, I'm going to get up and do a bubble bath. And even though I don't feel like it, I know I'm going to feel good afterwards. So I'm going to go do it, or like, hey, I'm going to hit the gym. Like, I don't feel like it, but I know I'm going to feel good after. And it's a habit I should start. So I just feel like having accountability when you travel by yourself. I travel by myself a lot. And, I also have my own studio. So, I just feel like, you don't have any outside distractions all the time. I felt like DJ gigs were always a distraction from like bad shit that would happen in life. But, with that coming to a close, there was no distractions and I have no distractions. I could be in my house all day and nobody's saying nothing. Nobody's saying like, hey, get to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like nobody's like, get to work. Or like, hey, like you've been on the couch all day. What's up? You gonna work out? No. So I just had to really like strengthen that accountability voice in my head. So yeah, I would just tell everybody to, learn to hold yourself accountable, even for the smallest of things.
It's good advice, man. Yeah, I think that's actually some of the best advice I've heard on that topic because there's really, at the end of the day, it's just you. Like it's to say you can apply it to what we do. Like nobody's going to show up and hand you an opportunity. And,
right.
All of that at the end of the day, it all comes back to you. And I think it's a good message.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy I could give a good message. I was thinking about that today too. I was like, man, like in the midst of just like, seeing old people and old things, old memories, I was just thinking about like how I would want to leave my impact on somebody as like a human being, like, unique aside just like Sharice. And I was like, man, like if I could like, if anybody was hanging out with me and like they said something about me, I hope they just got like a gem. Like, you know what I mean? Like I will hope that like if they were around me for a certain amount of time in their life, that was like a time for them as a human. Like I hope that they just got like, I hope they learned something from me.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, because I talk about the idea of like legacy on this show a lot. And for me, like legacy as an artist, like, I don't know if I really believe in it in the sense of like, oh, I have to make these incredible pieces of art that will live forever. But I think what I've kind of come to is more what you're talking about is I think the legacy and like what we can do that's important is like how we affect the people around us while we're here, And like, if we can, whatever it is, just improve somebody's life or make somebody laugh or inspire somebody, whatever that is, to me, that's like kind of the only legacy worth having, I think.
Right.
So this has been great. Thank you, first of all, for doing this. I know it took a long time for us to get.
Like the whole sun went down. Like I saw the whole sunset during this interview. I was type popping.
Let me ask you one. This is totally random question, but I feel like you might know the answer because I feel like you know the history of club music a little bit more than some people I talk to. So Jersey Club, right? Like when it first came out or when it first really started like popping off online, one of the identifiable things was the bed spring sound.
Oh yeah.
That was just in like every single track. Do you know where that came from originally? Was there like was it like Tamil or somebody who was just putting that everywhere?
No, actually. So we found out during quarantine. Remember when they started doing the verses, but it was still like on Instagram Live?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like T-Pain and who was it, Little John? They were like playing their songs. And Little John, he had said that, everybody thinks it's a bed sleep. It was really like a chair.
Oh, it was a
Like,
chair? Shit.
it was a chair.
Wow.
So I was like, damn, he kind of killed it for us. But for Jersey, it's still the best sleep. So that's where it's from. It's from the Some Cut song.
Who started using it in Jersey Club first? Do you know?
I have no clue.
Yeah.
I don't know why that became a thing. Because our songs are super X-rated.
Right.
The nasty era of club music.
Yeah. Club music is kind of it's a raw like form of music, like I feel like it makes sense in that context.
Yeah. That song was popular around that time too, like when Brick Bandits came out. So I could definitely say like Brick Bandits were probably the first ones to use that. I don't know which one, but yeah, probably like one of the Brick Bandits for sure.
Were Brick Bandits popping off locally when you were a kid or when you were kind of coming up? Were they like, were they somebody you could kind of look to be like, oh, like with like local stars a little bit?
Yeah, I was a part of Brick Bandits for like 2.5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had a meeting with Mike V and everything, who's the CEO. And yeah, Brick Bandits were definitely like that crew. They used to take in like all the new hottest club producers. And if you were part of Brick Bandits, it just meant a lot because you had to drop and you had certain sound kits and, you would play for certain parties. But after being in Brick Bandits for a little bit, I decided to go under DJ Little Man's team and just be a part of the movement because I don't know. I just like how Little Man carried his swag when he was doing his parties, and he taught me a lot. He definitely taught me how to be a sick MC and rock the hell out of a crowd.
Well, who is Lil Man for the people who might not know?
Oh, DJ Little Man. He is one of the Jersey Club pioneers. He's a DJ and producer. He has a lot of viral songs, and he does a lot for the community. Yeah, his dance team has done some viral music videos for sure, like billions of views.
Is he still doing it? Is he around still?
Yeah. He's definitely still out here giving back to the community.
That's dope. I love hearing that, man, because it's I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Like I love just trying to trace the history of it back because club music is still, it's a young genre. So it's like we can't actually
it just turned 20.
Is that right?
Yeah, it turned 20 last year.
I mean, I think that's part of why it's so exciting too, is like it's still so young. You think about like it's still like a kid if we're talking about like how old most music genres are,
Word.
Like it makes me just wonder where it's going to be, where it is going to be when it's 40, like there's so much potential.
Sheesh. I don't know.
You don't have to know. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you'll be a part of it somehow, one way or another.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the cool part. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. Before I wrap it up, is there anything else we didn't talk about? Anything else you want to let people know? Anything else that's on your mind?
I hope to see some of you guys, in person really soon. Heartbeats is been doing so amazing. So I appreciate every listen, every dance move. Y'all done busted to it. I got some more cool things from Heartbeats on the way that I'm like really looking forward to sharing. Like just new levels.
Yeah. I love that. Well, let me wrap up. I'll just ask you the question I ask at the end of each one of these episodes. Just looking for a memory from your life. And it could be from any time when you were a kid, 5 minutes ago, whenever, when in a single moment, music really had a deep impact on you, really deeply affected you in that moment. And that's meant to be super broad question. There's no wrong answer.
The Afties in London. Last time I was on tour in London at the Afties at 10 a.m. at somebody's house.
What was going on?
It was a party. It was a party in the light and it was 10 a.m. Okay.
They do
Yeah.
it different out there.
Okay. Yeah. It just captured me. It captured me because I was DJing like techno and club at 10 a.m. at somebody's apartment after the party.
Yeah.
And just with the fans and the raving in the living room. We were raving in the room. Yeah. That's last really touched me. Like, oh, it's lit.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because that's like that vibe and that party. It can live anywhere, right? Like it doesn't have to be in the club. It doesn't have to be on the main stage of a festival. It can live.
It was
It
the
could be
energy
anywhere.
that we
Yeah,
took from the whole night, and we weren't ready to let it go.
Man, that's a beautiful way to talk about it, man. Because I know exactly what you're talking about. Oh man, well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yes, thank you, yo. This was so cool.
This was great. Yeah, you could come back anytime. I'm glad. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, so I'm glad we linked up.
I know. I'm happy it's finally happened. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Like, dance to a DJ set.
Yeah, 100. No, and same for you. I mean, I'm down in DC, so I'm not even that far.
Okay, word. Like that's just a little.
Yeah, just a little skirt, and but yeah, let me know if you're ever in the area. I'll do the same, and yeah, hopefully we can hang out IRL soon.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Hell yeah! All right, well, have a good rest of your night. It's great talking to you.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you. I will. Take care. Peace.